Hello, Kimara Hashiv is Misha Joseph Falcha Gu Gaelic Le Joseph. Hamian an alaba ha fur anju ha gle ur agus ha fluch hage ha gle luch fur agus fluch anju. Kashmaha. Hamia an alaba quas a hashiv. Hamia fudach anam pashlich. Avelu ag upper anju. Chanyomi ag upper anju. Ha Dòmhnach anju. Dòmhnach la na Sàbainn. Dòmhnach la na Sàbainn. Hami a fudach anam pashlich agus hami a goper anam pashlich. Avel shiv a furach an alaba. Avel shiv a fudach an alaba. Hello and welcome to another Gaelic with Joseph. So you should have understood all of that except the words for Sunday, which we'll go over again just in a second. You'll notice that I asked just at the end, Avel u a furach an alaba, Avel shiv a furach an alaba, Avel shiv a fudach an alaba. And I'm just highlighting the difference in pronunciation there amongst Gaelic speakers. So fudach I think is more common, but I've also heard people saying Avel shiv a fudach an alaba. And as you know by looking at it, it's spelt like furach. Lana Sàbainn is the word for Sunday, but it has a very strong religious context amongst Protestant people because it means the day of the Sabbath. Not everyone acknowledges that Sunday is the Sabbath. That's a particular, I think, religious belief amongst certain people. So the other word is Dòmhnach. I'm no expert on this, but as far as I can see, Lana Sàbainn is more common amongst the Protestants in the Gaelic world, and Dòmhnach is perhaps what you would hear the people in the Catholic Church saying, because although it's Sunday, it's not recognised as being the Sabbath in the same way as the Protestants do. So I'm going to use Dòmhnach. Right, today we're going to talk about numbers. So first of all, to ask someone how old they are, you would ask Jenush ahau. Jenush ahau. So remember, Shiv is the very polite form of addressing someone, but if I'm asking a group, I can also use Shiv as plural. So I could say right now, Jenush Ashiv, how old are you all that's listening to this podcast right now? And of course, to ask how old are they, can you guess what that would be? Jenush aha-8. And of course, if you want to guess someone's age, as we discussed last time, we can say Avel u are you, and then put the number in. Okay. By the way, to say are you married, you can say just as an example before we start on numbers, Avel u posta. Are you married? Avel u posta. And the response to that would be ha, Or, of course, you could say haniel. So in my case, I would say ha a avi. That means yes, I'm married to avi. So the numbers then. Well, let's start with the easy ones. Un, da, tri. Ceithir, còig, seachd. Seachd, h-ochd, naoi. And finally, deich is number 10. Deich. Now, of those numbers, it's really important to remember that un unites the word starting with B, C, F, G, M, and P, and that the number 2 unites in the usual way. Okay, the number 2 unites in the usual way. All right. When you're counting or going through these numbers, you put a in front. Okay, and that in itself causes a little bit of lenition, as you know. Now, the other thing you need to know about these numbers is that numbers which begin with a vowel have an H put in front of them. This is a little bit like that rule on lenition, because it's not only numbers which have the H put in front of them, it's other things too. But we'll talk about that another time. Right now we're talking about numbers. So that means when you're counting, you need to be very careful. Okay, of course, as you know, lenition doesn't apply to vowels. So this is kind of like lenition of the vowels, if you like. So on, for example, becomes h-aon. Okay, and a tree, a ceithir, a còig, a h-aon. So it's very important that you keep this in mind. Okay, let's just go through this again because it might be a little bit confusing. So when you're counting, a is placed before the number. Okay, so un becomes h-aon. Okay, with the letter D, okay, there's lenition takes place, so that becomes a ya. There's no H put in there, of course, because D isn't a vowel. The H only applies to the vowel sounds. And then you have a tree, a ceithir, a còig, a h-aon. Okay, and then it goes on, of course. A seachd, h-ochd, a h-ochd, a naoi. And then it of course has the last one, which is 10. A deich, a deich. Okay, so those are the numbers. So some have H put in front of them, such as the number 1 and the number 8, and the rest remain the same, except for number 2, yes, which lenites in the usual way. So da becomes ya. Okay. Yeah, I know it's a little bit confusing, but it's good just to keep this in mind. Okay, so the numbers from 11 to 19 are formed by adding something else to them. Okay, so let me explain. Gaelic uses a very old number system, okay, which works out in tens, okay, for at least the first part. So you've got the first 10 digits we've gone through already, and then between 11 and 19, basically you simply use the same number and then you add 10. Okay, so let's go through these. Un deug, 11. Da deug, or ya deug, 12. Tri deug, 13. Ceithir deug, 14. Còig deug, 15. h-aon deug, 16. Seachd deug, 17, h-ochd, 18, naoi, 19, number 20, which is fhichead. Okay, so that's numbers from 11 to 19. It's important to remember this, that numbers from 21 to 39 are then formed by adding fhichead, as we said a moment ago. Okay, so 1 to 10, you add what we just spoke about there, and then number 21 to 39, you add fhichead, and you do that by adding a little pronoun. Now, guess what happens to fhichead when we add air? Can you guess? Yes, that's right. An H goes in after the H, so it becomes hichead, not fhichead. Ichead, most commonly pronounced ichead. Ichead, ichead. Ichead. Okay, so we're now dropping the F, and it's becoming only H. Ichead. Ichead. So, as I was saying a moment ago, with these numbers, with ichead, ichead, it becomes un ichead, da ichead, tri ichead, ceithir ichead, còig ichead, shia ichead, seachd ichead, h-ochd ichead, naoi ichead, deich ichead. So you can see that that's from 21 to 30, and then from there on it gets a little bit more complex. I'm sure you can probably guess what it is, but I'm going to leave it there for a moment, and we're going to simply move on, okay, to do something else, because it's a little bit complex, this, isn't it? I don't know about you, but I'm not very good with numbers. So let me just say, if you're joining us for the first time, this is Gaelic with Joseph. It's these are Gaelic lessons, but they're done in a way for people who find Gaelic very intimidating and very difficult. Many Scottish people forget that Gaelic has a lot of sounds, which Scottish people, even though they speak English, are accustomed to using, but other people aren't. And Gaelic can be very intimidating for people. So if you're looking for a faster way to learn, I suggest that you check on YouTube or use other platforms such as italki to find a Gaelic teacher. But these clips are designed for people who want to take the pace just a little bit slower. There is a really good fast way of learning Gaelic if you're really into languages, and that's Gaelic with Jason. He seems to be very good, an American boy. I've seen him on YouTube running through Gaelic grammar, but even for me, I think that's just a little bit hard, a little bit hard. So these are an introduction to numbers, un cheithir. So can you guess how to say 31 to 40? What would it be? Can you guess? Yes, you're probably right. So it would be, for example, un deug hiccups. Yeah, did you catch that? Three. Yeah, are you catching it? Three deug hiccups, or hiccups, as I was saying a moment ago. Okay, so this is the counting system in Gaelic. There is a decimal system which has been brought in. You will hear it because when people make literal translations, it kind of becomes fhichead sa h-aon, for example, 21, but it's not used amongst native Gaelic speakers. Okay. So there we are. That's a brief introduction to numbers. Painful, I have to say. I'm not really a numbers person. I don't know if you are, but hopefully that's given you a little bit of an introduction as to how it works. Okay, so fhichead or h-ochd. This is what we have to say. Yeah, so you will hear some people saying fhichead or fhichead as well. So there we are. That's a good introduction there to the number system. I hope you found this useful. We'll catch up again soon, and until we do, it's chili and rasta.